Good morning, everybody. It is OU Texas week. It's exciting. We had a nice, relaxing bye week. Everyone got to rest up, but now we're back in the mix. Before we get going, y'all, special flash sale: 50% off annual memberships if you use promo code HOOK'em. That's the deal we're giving you guys because it is such a special week. So join Inside Texas today, guys. 50% off, promo code HOOK'em. And then on today's show, we're going to talk Texas OU, of course. And then we are going to talk. It was a crazy weekend of football. So we're going to rank the remaining schedule by its difficulty because things might have got a little more sketchy after this last weekend. And then we'll discuss some potential portal needs. And then, of course, always your question. You guys can always take us off course whenever you would like. And I am here with Eric Nalin and Coach Dub. How you guys doing?
I'm great. I'm glad I don't have to cover Tennessee or Alabama this past weekend. We're sitting there watching games, drinking beer, cooking food, living the high life, and not having to worry about sweat out these upsets. Man, I loved it. I love the bye week.
Yeah, buddy. I loved it too. I enjoyed every bit of seeing Bama go down, and like Eric said, not have to worry about Texas playing and being a part of the whole upset thing. Man, it was perfect for me.
Man. Yeah, we picked a perfect time to have a bye week to be able to enjoy that. Because Texas fans will also say Bama loses, right, and we had to theoretically play at 7:30. Everyone will make fun of Bama before we even play our game, and I'm always like, that's a risky maneuver, guys.
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, they do that a lot whenever A&M loses, and you don't do that. You don't tempt the gods that way.
Yeah, you don't make fun of them before you play your game. But luckily, we just got to hang out.
Yeah,
we got one out of 3 stud muffins here. Sugar Daddy, good to see you. Only way we lose to OU is if Quinn has a horrible game. Well, let's talk Texas OU. Thanks for the lead in Hook'em 253. All right, so Quinn's coming back. We did the team notes last Friday. Sources say he's looking good, right? Healthy.
Well, yeah, he's healthy. I don't know. He might have had a little rust. The way it was told to me is he's fine from a health standpoint. I think he had a little bit of rust, but that's what the bye week practice is for. He's got another week this week to sharpen up. I don't like the fact that he missed any time, but I think people forget what he brings to the table, and how what he brings to the table really matches up well against OU's defense. That mid-range game where he carved them apart last year, we've kind of been missing that a little bit. I mean, Arch played well, don't get me wrong. The RPO game, I think, is going to be good against this defense, this Venables defense. So I think people because everybody gets enamored with Arch and everything he brings to the table. I think we forget that Quinn is ideally suited for playing against his defense.
Yeah,
Coach, what you got?
Look, Quinn having some time off. I think he's had extra time to kind of watch OU's film, right? Kind of see what they do what they do best on defense. I think he's had a chance to really diagnose that. And I think he's going to come out and have a great week. I don't see him having a bad game, right? Unless something off just happens, man. You never know in this game, but I just don't see it. It's kind of like what Eric said. I think he's going to take advantage of the mid-range game, man. Take advantage of those linebackers who like to be kind of over-aggressive, and they like to bring a ton of pressure and blitz. And so I think Quinn is going to be dialed in. I think we're going to see the Quinn we thought we were going to see all season from the beginning. You know what I mean? I can't wait for him to carve him up like a good old Thanksgiving turkey. But hey, Thanksgiving's not here yet. I know I'm a little premature on that one, but hey, I'm excited. I think Quinn's going to have a ball out.
So do I.
I think good game too.
Well, also what's OU's defensive weakness? It's pass coverage. 68th in the country in yards per pass. This is not a good pass defense. So they're really solid in the run game, super solid in the run game. They actually have excellent pass rush too. Trace Ford, R. Mason Thomas. If you give them true pass sets, no play action, no short stuff, number 1 and number 2 pass rusher in the SEC. But Texas has the number 1 offensive line in pass blocking in the SEC. So we have good on good there. Quinn has the statistical advantage. They're really struggling to get their corners kind of figured out. We think Eli Bowen, the young freshman, might get a lot of play there because he's the most athletic, opposed to Kenai Walker, Des Malone. There's Kendall Dolby was out at nickel. So what are they going to do at nickel? The safeties have a lot of name recognition, but as far as their pass coverage grades, not great. So the matchup there with Quinn, I mean, it's all there on the table. We might have some trouble running the ball on them, but as far as passing, we should be able to do that.
The RPO game is the run game as far as I'm concerned. I'm not too worried about it. You want to keep your safeties back because you're worried about all 3 wide receivers going deep on you. I love seeing DeAndre Moore going deep. Last time we saw him, Mississippi State. That means you used to be able to sleep on whoever that third receiver was last year, Whittington. You can sleep on him as far as a deep threat. You can't sleep on any of these guys right now. So keep the post back. You want to be aggressive up front. That's going to exploit a lot of mid-range game. And I think Quinn is going to have a game that says, all right, yeah, he might have missed some time, but he's still a Heisman contender. That's my gut feel right now. Maybe it's early in the week. It's easy to be optimistic earlier in the week, and then the more as you get closer to the game, you start thinking the sky is falling and all that. But right now, I feel good about the matchup.
Yeah, and you should. And same thing. Like last week, I was looking at all the numbers. I was like, if we take the names off of this, Texas smashes this team. But then slowly every day, I've been like, well, they could. Like your confidence starts to. It's such a weird game, you know. So I'm experiencing that as well.
Yeah, I have to go back to my memories of going in that stadium last year with a lot of confidence, and Texas came out a little flat, at least relative to OU. Some early miscues, and man, OU was fired up, and so I cannot lose sight of that. That Texas can come in. Quinn traditionally, when he does throw a pick, it seems to be early in the game. Can lose a little bit of momentum, get Texas off the script. But if he comes out playing clean, I think OU's in trouble. We haven't even talked about the biggest mismatch in this game is Texas' defense against their offense, and that's a pretty stark mismatch.
Yeah. It's the turnover margin for OU is what makes them special. They're like 4th or 5th in the country, and if Jackson Arnold wasn't just tossing the ball to Tennessee, that turnover margin would be number 1 in the country easily. And so that's a big thing. Quinn can't throw picks. And if R. Mason Thomas can't do the strip sack, if we can stop that from happening, or Jaden Blue fumble, something like that. Silas Bolden fumble in the punt game. But if we can avoid those things, and if we play clean ball, statistically, Texas has a huge advantage here. You guys want to talk OU offense? The mighty OU. It's not Lincoln Riley is not there anymore, fellas. It's a bit of a trip. So. All right, Michael Hawkins is in, right? What do you, Coach? What do you see from a coaching point of view with the young quarterback?
I've been going back and forth with this, and I'm like, I don't know what they can do offensively other than read option and take an occasional deep shot, right? I don't see him having a mid-range game. His short passes below 5 yards, man, he struggles to get those, right? So they may have a similar game plan of what Jay Norvell had with Gerard Hurd, man. Might be some QB power, QB reverses, anything they can do, right? And try to play a good defense to try to stay in the game. Offensively, I just don't see them being able to do much. They don't really have a running game. The offensive line struggles. So that kid's going to have to make a lot of plays with his legs. And I'm not saying that he can't. It's just that you're very limited versus a talented defense who's talented at every single level, right? And they're playing well, the hair on fire, man. It's going to be hard. So you stop the QB powers, maybe it's a couple of trick plays there, and don't get beat deep one-on-one, man. Like, what else do they have?
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, he's got so many things against him right now. It's just, the defense is very experienced, which means they're going to have his head swimming already. His head's already going to be swimming because he's a freshman, just against an ordinary defense. Then on top of it, he's on that stage. It's one of the most – I don't care how good the football player is. They'll tell you their first OU game, the first Texas OU game, they were nervous as hell. So I can't imagine being in his shoes. Better that it's their quarterback rather than Texas's. So I think they're in a tough spot. But, one of the things we talked about coming in the season was the experience in the secondary is really going to give quarterbacks a lot of trouble. And so you've got a kid in his second start. His head's going to be swimming all game long.
Yeah. And at first as I break them down more, I was like, well, he's a single read and run quarterback, but I don't have all 22, right? And so the more I've looked at it, he actually leads the SEC in holding the ball. His time to throw is like 3-point-something seconds. It's the most by a long time. So he's looking at these concepts, and I think what's more horrific, I don't think he's just pure single reading. I don't think the wide receivers can get open to save their lives. So I think he's just looking there. He has no option. So it looks like he's single reading and then going to the run, but really he's trying to play quarterback. There is no one getting open, even though you have like a Brennan Thompson who's a fast receiver. The concepts aren't very advanced. And a lot of times they kind of run and sit down. So the secondary can just follow you and then cover you. So I thought he was more of a nervous quarterback. But after I've watched Auburn and Tennessee a few times and like looked through the stats and stuff, he's trying to play quarterback more than I originally gave him credit for. I just think they're so limited. They need Deion Burks back, which is seeming like it could happen for OU. But that wide receiver room, Nick Anderson is not going to be there. It's awful. I mean, what do you do? You're gonna have to scramble. It's gonna have to be that Auburn scramble.
Why did I don't recall. I was always surprised by it. Why did Theo Wease leave? They could really use that guy this year.
True.
Yeah, they could.
That was always surprising to me that he left. But yeah, they lack athletes on the outside. Their offensive line is a mess. I think the kid does have some poise. It's just that he's not ready for it. You know,
right.
There's no quarterback. You can look at Nico I right now at Tennessee, and he's not playing anywhere close to as fast as he'll play eventually. It's just tough to be a young quarterback. It's just no matter what, no matter who the quarterback is and how talented he is. I think the kid does have some poise, though, and I think that's why he's in there instead of Jackson Arnold.
Yeah. As long as he quits getting helicoptered in the red zone trying to dive in there. Like because this is interesting, right? Say he does go down with injury. Do you think Jackson Arnold's about to burn his red shirt for a team that just threw him to the garbage like that? So it's like that's the big tricky part too. Is like I'm Jackson Arnold. It's like I can be a hero, but the reality is I'm leaving next season. And what am I going to burn my red shirt? Y'all just threw me in the trash and then started this weird Michael Hawkins campaign. Like I don't exist anymore. You know,
that's true. We may see good old Casey Thompson at that.
I was going to say, what do? You bring Casey in, who's coming off of ACL, right? It's like what do you do in that situation? So that's why I'm like, hey man, you got to quit taking hits, or else you're going to put the team in this super awkward kind of position.
Dylan Gabriel's not walking through that door.
Yeah, it's I don't know what you do because you don't have the receivers, and if they had their first line of receivers, that would actually be one of the better cores. They have good dudes: Jalil Farouk, Andrew Anthony, Nick Anderson.
They'd be almost as good as Texas's second team.
Yeah, no, that's true, but that's still a good group of wide receivers. We're in a freakish position, Eric. We can't judge others based on, not everyone's too deep with the NFL. But Taylor Tatum can come back, right? That's their only back. He has like 6-point-something yards per carry. Sawchuck has less than 2, worse in the SEC.
Yeah. Jeez, man.
Yeah, they can't run right now. Javante Barnes is like bottom 7 in the SEC in yards per carry. So hopefully they can get Taylor Tatum back, the young freshman. He's the only one able to do anything, and he's come back from injury. They hope they can get him. So it's going to be interesting. They're basically going to have to rely on quarterback run, and then the team falls asleep and they hit that deep shot like they did versus Auburn.
That's it.
So explosives and runs. There's not a lot of stuff going on there. Zing, baby. I don't know what this is referring to, but thank you, Sugar Daddy. All right, and then big thing too, number 4 in the country in field position. So they're playing defensive coach ball, right?
Yep.
So they want to get turnovers, and they're going to try to beat you in special teams. They have pretty good special teams. So like we said, as long as Quinn doesn't, throw it to him or something weird doesn't happen, we should be there. Oh yeah, the almost as good as Texas second team. Any other things that stick out? Texas OU? Any stuff from the Texas side you think sticks out? The typical, we had a rough game versus Mississippi State, but Texas is ready to go versus OU reports, any of that stuff?
We talked about it a lot on Friday. I encourage everybody to go read about the team. They spent a lot of time focusing on OU. Normally on the bye week, they focus internally and just kind of work on themselves, any issues they had up to that point. And of course, Mississippi State exposed some poor fundamental issues that they hadn't shown so far that season. They had more missed assignments, more missed tackles, a lot of things they had to clean up. But they focused a lot on OU. I think they're going to be dialed in. I had to tone down some of the quotes I got and just didn't even quote them. But, their goal is to come out and control the game from the beginning and play them how they know they can. So I think they're very focused already. I want to hear how practice goes this week. I think the edges are going to have a very big game. I think that's going to be a lot of it boxing in the Hawkins, putting pressure on him and matching that to the coverage with their, suspect skill players. And I think the edges are going to have a very big game.
Yeah, Colin Simmons, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
Him and Wingo.
Trey Moore breakout party. You never know, man.
Hey, Colin Simmons is playing at home too.
True.
That's true. Yeah, he's just hanging out. Yeah, and he what did he say to the press? He said, "We're going to dominate," or whatever he said. That I was like, "That's awesome." We don't and to have a player that can probably back it up is also very awesome.
To our boy David Williams' point, I got sent some footage of Malik Muhammad yesterday. Just training in the bye week. That kid, I joked. I said, "Man, he looks like $1 million." And the guy goes back, "He better be worth a lot more than that." And he is. That guy. Oh man. So he was right the whole time. He always said we have to get Malik Muhammad. I didn't disagree with him. But man, Malik Muhammad is so good, so good.
For the listeners, Devon Campbell and Money Muhammad are probably my favorite Longhorns. However, speaking of falling asleep, Muhammad's worst play at Texas deep pass, he failed to cover, but was missed against Mississippi State.
Yeah, that's something we wrote about last week, that, you know, the receivers got more open than they should have, and they just weren't punished for it, just because of, you know, they couldn't convert. That was, you know, that they didn't celebrate because of the incompletion. They worked harder on what they got wrong. They knew they didn't play well. At the same time, Mississippi State has 3 guys at least even at receiver. They would be starting at OU, and they would, you know, they could play at Texas. So they're talented there, but yeah, you can't have that, because next time they will convert it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, schematically, does this game remind you of Michigan?
No, I think no, it's not close, honestly, because Michigan doesn't play defense the way OU plays defense.
Right.
Michigan likes to kind of get in your face and bring pressure, and you know they kind of tell their hand when they're blitzing, right? OU kind of really disguises it, so you never know who's coming. And they play the 3 high safety look and don't get beat deep. Play a lot of Tampa too, right, to kind of cover themselves. Where Michigan, you know, they kind of relied on more man coverage, as you saw Sark attack the other corner all game long.
It was
and you
me.
get them. So yeah, I mean, I don't see it schematically being the same type of game, although all Michigan's offense and OU's offense may be similar as far as they won't be able to have an identity and move the ball versus Texas. So from that standpoint, it'll be similar. But as far as schematics, no, I think Texas will have to attack OU totally different than they did Michigan.
Yeah. I could see a little bit how OU and Michigan, right? Because you're dealing with this like presentation of aggression, and then they're simulating and dropping back a little bit. So I think that's what kind of fans hold on to, is that there is a lot of this hyper aggression, but really it's just used as a tool to where they can kind of disguise coverages later.
Yeah.
That part's similar, but that's also kind of the modern meta for good aggressive DCs. Even when you watch kind of like Flores and stuff, they're all kind of doing this. Flores used the Brent Venables cover 0 pressure drop into the hot route that he got on Peyton Thorne this weekend as well. So in that way I can see. And then, yeah, I mean, the offense versus the defense as far as like being able to consistently move the ball. But OU actually has a quarterback. That's what you're getting at. Yep. Yeah, I can see it in that way. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's also just we're playing 2 of the better defenses we've played. So that's going to be interesting. Is Blue ready for a bounce back game, or will we rely on the young backs? Eric, what do you think?
Man, I mean, wanting me to vouch for Jaden Blue here, huh? I don't know. All it takes is a crack for him to hit it to the house, but we haven't really seen that yet from him. And we know he has the speed. Maybe he's not 100% healthy, but he's healthy enough. He's just got to lock in, man. I think he's had too many mental mistakes this year, too many concentration drops. He's playing too inconsistent. I don't know if he's ready for a bounce back game, but if he's not, you know, I bet Trey Wisner will be ready to go.
Yeah. And you can't fumble this game. That's the biggest thing for Blue, because this defense is absolutely searching for that. And before we talk a little bit more Blue, it looks like we have another question there. We will hear a word from our sponsor.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Andre the Lawyer. All right. I'm sure they've been working with Blue all week protecting the ball. He has too much talent to keep off the field.
No, I mean, that goes back to fundamentals. They worked on that all last week. A lot of it was they didn't do much team on team because they didn't want to beat each other up. They do want to get back to health, but a lot of individual drills. So of course, running backs are going to focus on things like ball protection. That's job number one. Job number one. You can be Gavin Sawchuk at 2.8 yards to carry. Apparently, that's what Homer said he's getting.
1.8.
1 point. Okay. I don't even know how that seems impossible to me. But as long as you protect the ball, No, you know what? I'd rather take 5 yards of carry.
I was gonna say, let him fumble a couple times. If we're doing 1.8, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, I don't know. He's got to protect the ball. It's I thought the fumbles last year, not fumbles, but the fumble he had in the playoffs would really get his attention. That's something you got to focus on, man. It's got to always be on your mind, ball protection. But we'll see. He's got to play a lot better. He's not having a good year. It's not just the Mississippi State game.
Yeah,
sure that.
Jaden Blue just has to focus. I think reducing his touches and increasing the touches of Trey Weiser might help him to focus more.
You would think, but you need your own internal motivation, honestly, man, and want to come out and prove that you can play and be relied on, man. Being benched, yeah, they may help, or depending on what kind of person you are mentally, it can
go either way.
It can go either way, right? So it really just depends. But I think he just needs to look himself in the mirror, man.
Well, he's got to be like everybody else and compete. Everybody else competes, so he's got to compete too. You can't make concessions to him because he might not respond to it. If you're not playing well, you got to play someone who is. You owe it to the rest of the team to play the best players. So he's the starter. He got all the reps with the ones last week. There's no doubt about it. But if he has if they go good on good a couple times this week and he struggles with ball security, I think we will see more Trey Wiseman than we would have otherwise.
Yeah. And Trey's gonna be running hard, man. Texas OU, he's gonna be running hair on fire. Yeah. But we'll see with Blue, man. Special talent. And come on, I mean, if NFL millions is not a good motivator, I don't really know what to do there for you either. I mean, you're playing to go to the league. And
I'm not saying it's Jaden Blue, but you'll be surprised by some guys that don't care about being rich. Apparently, there's a couple other guys on the team that we won't see much of the rest of the year that they just don't want to be rich. All you got to do is go squat, get in the gym, squat, run, baseline. Do the baseline that they ask of you. And some of these guys are so talented they'll be in the NFL, but you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink.
Yep. Man. How do they keep Hawkins from gashing him? So a couple of things.
Just play discipline. They play discipline against Jalen Milroe, who's much better last year. I mean, Milroe got loose a little bit. Don't get me wrong, but you play your run gaps, play your run assignments. Coach, what do you think there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same. It's a lineman assignment. Don't rush past the quarterback if you're in the edge. Don't rush upfield. Right. Kind of do like a mock rush. Don't run past just, I guess you want to say, his ears or the ear hole of him or shoulder pad. Everybody else stay in their gaps. Don't try to be a hero. Just play the game. Play your assignment every single play, and then you might want to spy him here and there and mix up guys you spy him with as well in case he happens to break loose. So I think that's how you really contain him, man, because he's gonna be, like you said earlier, if the quarter receiver is not open, he's gonna try to take off and run, right? And really, I'd rather that spy or somebody who's spying him be in the field side where he has, versus less room run towards the boundary side, because there's not much room to run. So you just kind of mix it up and then simulate pressures, man. Confuse him. He's young. He hasn't played much football. He doesn't know what he's seeing, right? So confuse him with a lot of pressure, bring 5 or 6 at the line and drop out. You know what I'm saying? He'll make a mistake. So that's how you pretty much stop him from gash you.
And the stunts and twists will drop his eyes as well. So anytime those big guys are flashing in front of him and moving in front of him, he'll start to, and they'll do the step back. He looks like a basketball player whenever he starts doing it. He'll start to step back and stuff like that, and then you kind of keep a spy on him. I still think he's going to frustrate you at least twice in the game with a good run. It's kind of limiting back there. He's a good runner. He's going to be able to. You just don't want the kind of like the Van Buren where we got totally out of our lanes and he was able to just run in. That'll be the tricky part.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Especially if Colin Simmons is like, I'm trying to get sacks in Texas OU, baby. And then he gets out of his lane. That'll be a little tricky. All right, y'all. You can ask us any more questions on Texas OU, but we had a crazy weekend of college football. And most shout out Del Conte. We did not have to deal with any of that emotionally. That was quite wonderful.
And we booked Louisiana Tech for 2028. Man, that is some excitement right there.
Yeah. We love the Louisiana schools. All right. We'll just look at this real quick, and then we'll kind of rank the remaining schedule. But let's just look at the AP poll real quick. Texas number 1, all is right with the world. Ohio State number 2, fair enough. Oregon, that's a sketchy little team, but they're able to just kind of keep moving up because everyone else is messing up. Penn State, wow, they've been waiting for this for it seems like a decade. Once again, Big Ten on top, guys, apparently. Georgia moves to 5. Miami, who also keeps wanting to lose games, but Cam Ward
Man, I thought I want Quinn to get back in the Heisman race, and I thought for sure that was going to be his chance with Cam. That pick he threw in the third quarter, I think it was terrible.
Yeah.
Now Alabama.
So yeah, this is the big one we have to talk about. They didn't beat. This wasn't some like 13-10 fluky game where it just took one play. Vanderbilt thoroughly beat them in the run game, in the pass game. Pavia is the real deal. That was different. They just straight up beat them.
That run game, that was artistry. We were watching at the restaurant, and my wife saw, "Why are you paying attention to that? Alabama's going to come back." And I was like, "No, the way that Vandy's moving the ball is sustainable." She's like, no. I was like, "Look, I don't know if Vandy's going to win, but they're moving the ball in legit ways. They're not doing flea flickers, and just they were." That was a thing. 42 minutes time of possession. Time of possession can be misleading in this day and age, or it can tell you the whole story. That told you the whole story.
Yeah, shout out to Tim Beck over there, man. He was dialing it up.
We got to play them. So that's the thing too with that run game. Now, like I said, it wasn't any cutesy stuff. They were running, the same 4 or 5 concepts repeatedly.
Midway through that game, I wrote that I hope that they'd get their upset before Texas comes waltzing in and on the 26th.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be not out for blood anymore. But knowing Diego Pavia, that kid is like gonna hunt number ones for the rest of the season. But that was intense, and just to see kind of Alabama melting down to Malachi Moore with that weird outburst, and not a good look. And then Tennessee, this is funny. So on Twitter, I got accused, and maybe accurately, of being an old man because I got mad at them Arkansas field storming Tennessee. And everyone's like, just let the kids have fun, man. But it upset me because Vandy film stormed, that made sense. But also Michigan, Washington, and I'm like, we're just film storming for anything now. And it was making me grumpy. But what did you guys think there? Because that, to me, kind of OU's claim to fame defensively was holding that Tennessee offense to 25 or whatever it was. And
yeah, I was watching that at a buddy's house, kind of preoccupied. And when they went up 14-3 on Arkansas, I was like, all right, we can put this one to bed.
Yeah.
Because Arkansas blew so many chances in the first half. They were, they had to get out of that half up, 13 at least, and they were only up 3. Tennessee comes by, takes the lead, 14-3. You think that one's over, and Arkansas showed a lot of heart, came back. And then Fayette Nam at nighttime is a different animal too. I think the crowd always plays a big part. Nico looked confused a lot. He was not processing quickly. Arkansas's D-line came to play. That was fun. As far as the field storming, surely Vanderbilt, they should still be storming that field after that win.
Right.
Arkansas, you're supposed to be a proud SEC program. Act like you've been there before. I don't know, but I don't care. I'm glad.
Number 4. Number 4 to me is not that big of a deal. It's number 4, and it's early in the season, kind of fake number 4, right?
Yeah, it's also Tennessee, right? So Tennessee hasn't been good sustainably for a long time.
Right.
But I will say this, I'm glad that Texas plays them at 11 o'clock in the morning as opposed to at night.
Yeah. I would say the same thing. Those fans are different in Arkansas, though, man. So they'll
be going on from the night before, and I don't blame them. Every Texas OU fan has done the same. But I did not see Lane's presser. I should probably just watch that every week, no matter what.
He was watching Vandy and Bama, and he was not paying attention to the reporters because he's like, guys, we're only going to see this once in our life. Like, we need to watch this.
I love Lane. I can't. Every offseason, I wonder where that guy's going to end up. I can't see him staying at Ole Miss. He's taken over for Mike Leach as far as like pure entertainment value.
Yeah, he's awesome. And then Kirby Smart was like, y'all are the one that makes fun of Vandy. We don't make fun of Vandy. And all this, I was like, shut up, man. He's like, but you can tell now he's like, that's actually a pretty good team.
He took their wide receiver. He knows a little something. Clark Lee got my attention when they upset Florida. It's Florida hasn't been great, but they upset them 2 years ago. That showed us something. They play a lot closer than they used to. And that goes back to the whole proviso of lose close, then you start win close. Maybe he can turn it around. James Franklin won there. Maybe he can do it. He seems like a good football coach.
Yeah. I'm glad Vandy beat Bama because it was a significant wake-up call for Texas to not overlook any team. I agree.
Yeah, I was texting with people in the middle of that one going, sheesh. And they were hitting me back, sheesh. This is I think the coaches enjoyed it too. It's going to be easier to motivate their players. It really backs up what Sark said coming into the season, that you kind of roll your eyes when they say there are no off weeks, but then you see Kentucky beating or losing to Georgia by 1 point after getting their butt kicked by South Carolina the week before, and they should have beat Georgia. And Georgia's not what they were a couple of years ago, but Georgia is still a very, very good team. So it makes the job easier for the coaches. But I know a lot of the players and coaches were watching those games. The only one that disappointed everybody was the A&M game. A&M looked pretty good.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
I think validating Vandy's field storm, but not the others, kind of odd. 4 of the 5 upsets were top 11 teams. So here's my argument. Vandy beating number 1 Alabama almost never happens. And that's why it's unique. And Vandy's historically a bottom feeder. And so to me, if you're Arkansas, I know Arkansas has not been good lately, but that's still a proud program to me. That's not like a G5 upsetting somebody. So it's like, that's where it's interesting. And upsetting number 4 in week 6 doesn't really mean as much because we're just kind of going mostly off of preseason at that point. So I think there's just context here that it's not just unranked teams defeats good team, because there's plenty of unranked teams that could go in and out of the 20. What if you're the 26th team? You're still unranked, but it's not that big of a deal, So,
well, there are also some programs that should never, under any circumstance, no matter what, storm the field. And if you want to be one of those programs, you want to consider yourself. They're always talking about their tradition at Arkansas and all these things. I don't care if it's 30 years from now and Texas has been down, they should never storm the field. But Arkansas, college kids, man, they don't understand tradition, all that like us old men do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I get called an old man, which is, I guess, fair enough. To me, it's like we've cheapened it, right? It's ever since COVID, like Colorado field storming Baylor. Like, what is going on here? It's like the kids are just looking for any reason to get on the field. And then also like Texas Tech film storming us and shoving our players. It's not a good idea to go into the arena with a bunch of gladiators that just lost and drunk frat kids. Like, you're going to end up with players fighting kids. So that's kind of what I think with the film storming. But I get the point too of like, let them have, I guess, let the kids have fun, right? Texas will hopefully beat Georgia by 14 plus points and not storm the field, of course.
In favor of those, in defense of those kids, they pay way too much for college. They should be able to have a little bit of fun.
That's true. It should be based. Yeah, you're right. It should be based on your tuition.
Like the tuition, like TCU, they're paying what, $75K a year now. Yeah. After every game.
You should get. Yeah, that's how it should work. It should be your DAS pass, your meal card, and then you get 3 field storms when you're paying at that rate. Texas will hopefully beat Georgia by 14 plus points and not storm the field. Then again, Texas will beat Georgia while being the number 1 team ranked in the nation. Do you think we got game day back with Bama? Or do you think they'll go to Oregon, Ohio State?
I would guess Oregon, Ohio State, because they'll.
Oh no, that's next week. It'll be Bama, Tennessee, right, when we play Georgia.
Oh no, that'll be Texas, Georgia. Bama, Tennessee. A lot of the shine came off this past weekend. I mean, you can watch Vandy and Arkansas play, and just the same based off that weekend. But no, I think it's got to be Texas, Georgia.
Should be.
Georgia's playing pretty good ball. That was a really, they look at how they both bounced back. They had the same emotional toll taken on them as Alabama. Right. And they had a good workmanlike win over Auburn, which is, Auburn's a real team. They're not good or anything, but Georgia played much better after that emotional game than Alabama did. I think that says something about them probably having some staying power. Although both Alabama and Georgia don't have easy schedules remaining. So obviously nobody has easy schedules based on what we saw this past weekend.
Yeah. And we're about to get into that. But first, let us hear a word from the one and only Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
If you need a house in the Central Texas area, you know where to go. Okay, this is Eric's list. Me and Coach will decide if we disagree with him.
Oh no,
Or
going to
think-
get graded right in front of the teachers, huh?
I think he's an actual genius or not. All right, so these are the games left. And then chat also, they're known for never sharing their opinions. But I'm sure the chat will share their opinions here. So hardest games left on our schedule, y'all. Georgia number 1. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you can't disagree with that.
Yeah. Any problem there, Coach? No?
No, man, I totally agree with that one. I didn't realize my mic was muted, but yeah, Georgia's definitely the number 1 on that as far as tough games.
Yeah. Number 2, those Aggies.
I'm gonna agree just because the atmosphere and they want to sway or whatever they do. I don't know, man. Last might bite somebody. Who knows, man? I don't know, but yeah, atmosphere gives them number 2. I get it. Big rivalry.
That and I think that's a good coaching staff, and so we've seen them get better already since the first game, considerably better since the opener versus Notre Dame. Who knows what they're going to look like now? Their issue is they're not depth, they're paper thin, they're not deep at all. So a couple injuries will change that, but that's what this is a week to week thing. I could change it tomorrow or next week based on how the games go.
Yeah, it's tough, right? You see that good game versus Missouri, and you try not to be prisoner of the moment. Because I saw a lot of people say like SEC's going to or A&M's going to push for SEC title game off of that game, but I think it's also because they have the second to easiest or the easiest SEC schedule currently.
Missouri is not good.
That's a fake number 9 if we're being
straight. That was the quarterback Cook. That was abysmal. Yeah. But they played well too. Good. I mean,
that's what versus a fake number 9. That's what it's supposed to look like, right? So they did their job. So we can't take that away from them. But we'll try. All right. Number 3.
Here's where you can disagree depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. Number 3, Oklahoma. I mean, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, just because it's a rivalry game, man. This is heated. This is a battle. It's intense. So much can happen in this game. So yeah, I see why it's number 3. I almost wanted to put Vanderbilt over OU just because, but yeah, I like Oklahoma at 3 just because of the rivalry.
And that they're going to have some wrinkles that Texas is going to have to solve on the fly. Yeah, it's not. True. They're not just going to come in and play what they've shown on tape. They're going to have to think on their feet and figure out what Venables is doing differently than what they expected him to do. And it could get a little sloppy there at the first, but we'll see. Texas is the better team. So if you just went by paper, like Connor said earlier in the show, Texas should win this game, no doubt. But they got to overcome it. They should win all these games on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Let's just call it Texas national champs. The big thing too is like for both teams to have a bye week before is fascinating. Because they're going to have to change the offense a little bit for Hawkins now that they can breathe. But then on top of that, they're always going to put in weird wrinkles. Only wrinkles OU is going to have is due to stress. That's a good one, Patrick. That's a good one. I'm okay with OU. Come on, Eric. Where are your hot takes in here, man? This is all pretty reasonable stuff.
I don't do hot takes. I don't do hot takes.
We got Ian to write this article. We would have had a ton to talk about.
Contrarian. Hey, at least his hot takes are well thought out hot takes as opposed to just hot takes.
Yeah, they're diabolical. It's like he's like, this is going to be good, but I also spent 3 hours making sure it actually makes sense.
Yep.
Number 4, Arkansas, especially after that win, right, versus Tennessee.
Yeah, look, they got a good defense. And I see you got Taylor Green in here. That's like he's dynamic with his feet. I don't know if he can really hurt Texas in the passing game because he makes a ton of mistakes and miss.
Yeah, I think I mentioned he's erratic or inconsistent or something. Yeah, that's his issue. But he's a real quarterback. You have to defend the whole field.
But they won that with the second string, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, is he in? Is the second string in, or is Taylor Green coming back? Do y'all know?
No, we have to see going forward.
They don't have him until November 10th or whatever that day is, 16th. My eyes are going because I am an old man.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he should have him if we have him in the 16th. But I wonder, man, the second string quarterback was looking all right. But we learned, I think too, Sark learned his lesson from year 1 when they embarrassed us. So I think that's the only time he's ever been blown out at Texas. They've had some losses that were bad that losing to Kansas at home or whatever, but
Yeah, the only blowout in his tenure is that Arkansas game, which ended up being a good thing because then he went to the powers that be, said, "Look, man, I need an SEC team." They said, "Well, just so happens we're going to the SEC. We'll get you an SEC team."
Yeah. Yeah. Number 5,
There we
Vanderbilt.
go.
All right, this one.
Hey, I didn't know if this is recency bias, but the way they won that game, like we talked about, and is they earned it. And Texas has not exactly defended the run as consistently as we'd like. And the way Vanderbilt won that game was with the run, and it's a very varied run game. What Coach mentioned, a little bit of go in that run game. They'll use the quarterback, and then the quarterback. Not a dynamic passer by any stretch, but he can hurt you with the arm. He's like a service academy quarterback with his toughness and leadership.
Yep.
But then he can also get you with his arm. So Vanderbilt's just a tough schematic matchup, and it comes after OU and Georgia, right? So how long can you sustain the focus that you need to play at a high level? Vanderbilt just got the timing on their side with Alabama playing Georgia in a very emotional win. Alabama was spent. So, hey, that game has my attention.
Look, Vandy's playing well. They actually have better players than most people give them credit for. They got a couple of Jerry Kill players. I saw Gary Patterson give him a shout out on Twitter. They got a ton of transfers in who actually can play. They always had SEC size and speed. They just never had depth, especially in the trenches. And seeing those guys up front, up close and personal last year, like I thought their two safeties are really NFL guys. CJ Taylor, and I forget the other guy's name.
Brandon Fontenot.
It's a 6'3" safety. I can't think of his name.
Brandon Fontenot. Yeah, Texas actually kicked the tires on that kid. I saw him at a 7-on-7. He had no offers or very few offers. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? He's a good player. Look at Drew trying to just ruin this discussion.
It's the athlete mindset.
Yeah, it is. But yeah,
let us be media.
Yeah, get to work, Andrew.
Oh man!
All right, so
as we were saying.
I mean, I'm not putting Vandy at 5, but it's I probably put Kentucky over Vanderbilt here.
Yeah, well, Kentucky also has interesting timing because they play A&M after that. And I don't think, and that goes into what Drew's just saying. Texas' biggest opponent is Texas. They can't look ahead or they can't lose focus. I think Vanderbilt has good timing, and I like their run game is real.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. This also cracks me up. We're not on the team, so we can look ahead. Us looking ahead does not alter the team. I do love it when fans are like, guys, we need to focus on this. It's like we.
Yeah, we got bad knees. I ain't playing not one snap.
Yeah, I don't think I'm starting Texas OU. So we will look ahead as media, but we will make sure that Jahdae Barron does not. All right. So I will do Kentucky. I'll go with Kentucky up and then Florida at the last. Coach, you got any flips?
Look, just because of recency, I like Vanderbilt over Kentucky. I think Kentucky has a great defense. They just don't have a dynamic quarterback like Vanderbilt has. So that's going to be tough. Kentucky has tried to play keep away from Texas, which is going to be hard because, they definitely can't move the ball against Texas. It'll be a long day. That defense will tire out. And Vanderbilt has a better chance offensively. And then, I agree with 5 and 6. And then you get down to Florida at 7. Depends if they play Lagway or Mertz, man. That's going to be tough. They got somewhat of a chance.
Well, look at Florida's next 4 games, and then realize that Texas has a bye week before that game, and that's why I have them at 7. I mean, would Florida beat Vanderbilt? Maybe so, but I'm looking at the context of how the season is playing out as well.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm good with Florida last. And then because Vandy's got the Sam Ehlinger heart of a lion quarterback. That's going to be tough to beat. And his post-game speech where he thanked Jesus and then immediately cussed was perfect. That's exactly the quarterback you want.
Hey, if you drive through New Mexico, as I do frequently, you see a lot of guys like I think he's from Albuquerque. Albuquerque's a pretty rough spot, man. He's a tough dude.
Yeah, and Paul Wadlington will tell you he was a wrestler in high school too. So and wrestlers are nuts. If you guys know wrestlers, so
yeah. Don't mess with wrestlers.
Yeah, so that's you can see his mindset, but that was absolutely wonderful, as well as the kids stealing the goalposts and going a good 3 miles, carrying that to throw it in the river. And they got a police escort. Even the police were like, let them do it. You know,
I was telling my wife, because you could see them celebrating in the background. I said, I love it when the police and the security are involved and they're cheering just like fans. There's somebody getting knifed right behind them and they can't be bothered to notice because they're caught in the moment. Oh man, college football is so good.
Yeah. Shout out to the Mexican QBs out there. Shout out. There's not a lot of them.
I'm trying to think here.
Got one kid. I went to UNLV, a recent recruit, but that's it.
Yeah, Colorado got a kid out of San Antonio a couple of years ago. Tall kid. I'm drawing a blank on him. No, we did not. Oh, let's just answer this question.
Yeah. Do you have IT during the 8-5 season? No, this is our first season with IT.
I wish I would have had it because I predicted that season.
Yeah. I started Homer when we went 5-7, so that was a lot.
That was the year before the year 8-5, and then they went 12-2.
Yep. Yeah, we know Sugar Daddy. We were trying to name any other one. That's what we were getting stuck on. But he's a baller, man. He's going to be a lot of fun. All right. I'm cool with the list. I'll just move Vandy, but
I think it's spot on, man. I like it where it's at.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's talk. So we had potential portal stuff, but got 15 minutes left. So we have a lot of kind of recruiting stuff moving right now. So you guys prefer to talk recruiting?
They always want recruiting. We can talk. There's a lot of time to talk portal. There's a lot of time to talk about either of them.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's look at your Mary Flipmas article that you just posted. What was it this morning? No,
last night. Yeah, late last night I posted. It's basically just listing all the potential flip candidates. Predicted Texas will flip at least 5 guys down the stretch.
Oof.
Not including Javian Hilson because there's just been too much distance between his commitment to Florida State. Even though Texas was a big reason why he decommitted, we're not going to count Hilson. I'll hurt myself a little bit there. But yeah, I think Texas is the recruiting's going to run parallel to the season. If they stay at the top 2-3. They're going to be in the top 2-3 recruiting when it's all said and done.
Coach, who's flipping?
Look, man, number 1 team in the nation, you're winning. Like, kids are going to start calling, right? Those who maybe were ignoring calls that had you on silent or do not disturb, man, like, bet their phone pick up the phone now. They're going to probably call in themselves. But as far as who's flipping, man, oh no, you might have a shot at everybody now. It's just because it's open, right? People want to play for the winning team, the best team in the nation. And Texas has shown throughout the season, young guys, if you can play, you can play. You'll get a chance, right? And so that has to be a piece to those guys who are out there on the recruiting trail. And I'm sure we got a big list coming up. We'll see what kids kind of go to Texas OU game. I know OU's kind of hosting. I know they're not really hosting, but then that next week, everybody's coming in for the Georgia game. Texas go do what Texas does in that game. I promise you, man, people are gonna be beating down the doors trying to get in. It's like, no more people, no more can come in. That's what it's gonna be.
People assume recruiting is just coaches recruiting the players. When you're winning, the lot of the players are recruiting the school. They're picking up the phone. They're proactive. Guys that you hadn't talked to in a while. Guys that committed elsewhere. That the season is getting a lot of kids' attention. There's a couple players that are excellent players that I don't even think Texas is going to push for just because of the way that the recruitment played out. That are wanting to hear from Texas. So they're in a good spot. I feel good about it. We can go down the list real quick. We got 10 minutes if you want. I don't.
Sure, let's do it. Yeah, that'll be fun. Let me pull this up. Share this tab.
I don't think I wrote anything that shouldn't be on YouTube.
We'll find out, right? Let's do it.
Let's find out the hard way.
Yeah. All right. So Dalen McCutcheon.
Yeah, committed to Florida State. I like it when the staff makes me right, or it makes me feel like I'm right. Because I said when they lost to Corian Moore that Dalen McCutcheon should be the wide receiver they focus on. I love his overall skill set. I think he can play inside or outside. Maybe not great in any one regard, but good at everything. I think that I think he could remind Sark of Steve Smith, the Steve Smith that he had at USC back in the day, not the Steve Smith that played at Utah and then Carolina. Really good player, and I think Texas has a good shot at that one.
Yeah,
another wide receiver. Go ahead, Coach.
I love McCutcheon. I think he has some game that's similar to DeAndre Moore and Jordan Whittington. That he's a bigger receiver, power receiver, but he can run routes. He's smooth. He has speed. I think he's a solid add to the class if he was a flip. Just because of what he's so versatile and what he brings to the table. And so Eric's right. I think he can be that third receiver with Lockett and French, man.
Tons of production at a high level too, high competition level.
Yeah.
Kids got some polish to him. Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. I was taking him lightly throughout the spring. I took him lighter than I should have. I started watching his tape a lot more. I'm like, damn, this kid really does have it. So that's the guy I wanted to. But right here we got Kelshawn Johnson. I don't know. He's definitely paying attention to what Texas is doing on the field. His issue was playing time, but he's seeing what 6 wide receivers get playing time right now. So if you come in and ball, you're going to play. And he's got speed that I think a lot of fans are looking for in this class, although I think fans are underrating the speed of Jamie French and Khalid Lockett. All right. That's good. Hey, what's up, Walter?
Tell him to stop it.
To be fair, I mean, Love Jordan, Ohio State, the same color, so it looks like it.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, we're not worried about Ohio. Ohio State is still talking to him a little bit. He's and that's what you want to hear, right? That means he is good. So, Kelshawn Johnson, I think he's going to stick with A&M, but I just think that Texas might end up flipping McCutcheon and closing up shop with those three. And I think that'd be a fantastic class. But Kelshawn is still, he's still in the mix, and he still hears from Texas a little bit.
All right, fans are going to love this. Defensive tackles. We're going to need to take some, and we could even need to take one more, right? Because of potentially with Mitchell and stuff. So
they're going to take 3 more, or they're going to try to. They never force themselves to take a player that they don't think will pan out. So, but yeah, they'll take 3. Who do we have first?
Malcolm Simpson. Yeah.
Yeah, so Malcolm, they went by and saw Malcolm on Friday. They got his transcript a week or 2 ago. The fact that they're still checking in on him is a good sign. I was a little bit surprised he wasn't offered. There's a couple different reasons that could be. One of them could be that they feel good about some other guys. But they love Malcolm's upside. If they're going to push the number to 5, it makes a lot of sense to get that overall athleticism. I've likened him to Jure Bledsoe, which may ring a little hollow just because we haven't seen much of Bledsoe yet, but it's really not for lack of talent. Bledsoe's physical. They're basically the same player. I think that offer is going to eventually come. I was a little surprised it didn't come Friday.
Joseph Mbachu.
Well, everybody's coming after him now. Georgia, he was just at Georgia. He's probably going to go to Georgia again soon. He'll be at Texas, Georgia. So he'll see Georgia, I think, 3 times in a month. So that's a little concerning. He has monstrous upside as well. Long way to go, but they're going to expand the rosters most likely to 105 scholarship players. That's exactly the type of guy you want to get in there, incubate, start developing them, and see what comes out in a year or 2.
A lot of Georgia guys here. Where's Kenny Baker from?
Yeah, Georgia, and Tashard Choice has got tremendous ties. Tashard Choice, when Tashard Choice goes into Georgia, he's not just recruiting running backs. He's like, hey, let me see your whole roster. Who else do my guys need to know about back at Texas? So he's really good at pounding the pavement.
Definitely.
But yeah, a lot of Georgia guys. All right, Kevin Wynn as well.
Man, that guy's a Zamboni out there. I think he likes Clemson quite a bit. Obviously, Florida State is falling apart. They're trying to keep it together, but it's going to be tough. He's just a more of a stockier, powerful guy, but still moves really well. Powerful guy. It's more of a take up two blockers, which I think this class actually could use a little bit more of. Or the roster could use more of. But we'll see. Clemson is doing a pretty good job right there, and Clemson after that poor showing in the opener is playing a lot better.
Out of these guys that we talked about, who are the nose bodies?
Well, Texas likes to use the nose as a 3 technique a lot of times too. So that it kind of just changes. So it kind of go who's the penetrator and who's the guy that's going to take up 2 blockers.
Okay.
Malcolm Simpson is definitely a penetrator.
Yeah.
And Mbachu is more of a penetrator, but he's got a long ways to go developmentally. He's going to put on a ton of weight. I don't know what that guy's body's going to look like in 3 years. Wynn is definitely a 2-gapper. Who else we got? I should have put Chase Sims on there probably, but I think that A&M's doing a pretty good job playing defense there. He can play. He actually fits either penetrator or 2-gapper. I think really, really good body mechanics. Hopefully Texas can still get him on campus.
Cool. Then Walter Mathis. That just sounds like a 1970s All-Pro.
Yeah, yeah. Walter Mathis played for the Raiders or the Steelers for sure. He's a lot like Brandon Brown, who Texas had in the fold, and it's probably no surprise that he's committed to LSU as well. And he's still pretty firm with LSU. Texas has a ways to go on that one. Super athletic guy. Definitely penetrator.
Yeah. Speaking of LSU, Zion Williams, which fans will anytime they hear his name, they get excited.
Yeah, well, if he doesn't show up for Georgia, Texas, I'm probably going to say that's very that one's on life support. It's probably already on life support. He's definitely a two-gapper all the way two-gapper.
How much can you buy into the Georgia-Texas visit? Are they just coming because it's a cool game to be a part of, or do you think they can really get leverage from it?
No, I think it would. I think anytime you get Zion or a kid that profiles to the school in general, I think it's huge. There are going to be some players there that are just there. They're going to use it as an attention-getting device. That's going to be like your highly rated kids from out of state, probably that wouldn't normally pay attention. It might even be some Georgia fans that they get to campus. But you'll do anything you can to just start the dialogue.
I agree with that. Actually, yeah, just get them on campus, man, and look, let the game do what it does. You go out there and dominate Georgia. It don't matter the reason they came, right? It's about the end of the game and what happens after that, because you can impress some people. Trust me.
Yeah, people that hadn't been to Austin before, or really Texas has been on the downward spiral for the last decade, and now they're number one. They beat Georgia, who's a lot of people will still expect Georgia to win that game just off past reputation. This is a great golden opportunity for Texas.
Cool. And then wrapping up, defensive tackles, Caleb Bell.
Yeah,
that one's been a little bit more quiet. Go ahead. I like the kid. I think he's got a lot of upside athletically in his build. I like him. I think he's maybe a little bit further down the board, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's super athletic. Definitely a penetrator. I wouldn't say he's a two-gapper, but
No.
I like him a lot too. I think he can do a lot of great things, setting the edge or playing that 3 technique or 4-eye for Texas. But yeah, I like the kid a lot as well.
Said some questions. David Keith Williams. Eric, I think getting Kevin Wynn and Walter Mathis in addition to Josiah Sharma and Myron Charles would be enough for Texas at DT in the 2025 recruiting class. What's your view?
Ooh, man, I would celebrate like crazy with that class. Yeah, I mean that might keep them from pushing the number to 5, because there's just so much upside in them with Wynn and Sharma. And even with Myron Charles, you have a very high floor with those guys just because Myron's so big and athletic. But I think Kevin Wynn and Josiah Sharma have very, very high floors. Your penetrator there would be Mathis and Charles, even though Charles is big. Charles can be either one of them. Sharma could really technically probably be either one of them. That'd be a fantastic class, and one that you might save the number or use it in the portal. They're still going to have to go portal no matter what because they're just losing so much experience. But, man, sign me up for that class right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
Quick. Coach Choice consistently recruits great running back targets. However, how do you feel about UT not getting Tredarian Ball? Texas has fast running backs, but none are burners like Ball.
Oh man, I wish you could see that text message I sent last night. Yeah, you can't take them all. Maybe you can go get some speed in the portal this year. We'll see. But yeah, that's the problem. He's looking for really natural traits, and that's not to say Tredarian isn't natural. I think Tredarian is a very natural running back, and he's got that electric speed. But he's looking to mix and match different parts and complement each other, and so it's a delicate dance. Tredarian's a fantastic player. Racing Guillory, I thought, was extremely exciting, and I think they're still in contact with him. Just that speed.
Right.
David Osborne, that's the guy that had to do everything they can to get him. And then they're like Amari Latimer as well.
Yeah,
I love Ball. I love Ball, man. He's got speed. I love the fact that he jumps on the show every once in a while. Well, not since he committed to Oregon, but I wouldn't write anybody off. And with their issues at running back with the injuries, we're not sure how these guys are going to bounce back. Maybe they try to take a three running back class. I'm not saying they will, but maybe they look at it. They definitely have to go portal after this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, we're done with defensive tackles. Linebacker.
Finally done with defensive tackles.
Huh?
Finally done with defensive tackles.
No,
That's how many they need.
Like all from Georgia.
Yeah.
All right. Linebacker Riley Pettyjohn commits to Ohio State. Texas was in the lead there for a while. Heartbreaker. What's the latest on Pettyjohn?
Ooh,
Yeah,
long time. Charlie knows it better than me.
Yeah, definitely getting to go see him play 2 weeks ago versus Allen. Man, he told me he's going to go down and visit for the Georgia game. And I said, fans gonna be shocked and surprised about that when he was like, yeah, but I want to go see what Texas has. I got to go check them out. And the fact that he's communicating with Texas is golden. And because all you want is opportunity, right? You want an opportunity to impress him. You want an opportunity to show, hey, everything we were telling you and selling you on during the last 2 years, it's being implemented. And look how we're playing defense, right? And you got Anthony who's playing great. You got David Bender who's playing great. He has great examples. You got Anthony Smith, the young guy making plays, Leon Olafile. So he has a lot of living, breathing examples of showing exactly how we can develop you and have you playing if you came here. And you stay close to home. It's a huge opportunity, him visiting the Georgia game. So I cannot wait post-game to see how it goes or his thoughts.
What's interesting right now is Texas is obviously on the uptick. They've got a loaded roster, but there are a couple positions, defensive tackle and linebacker, where they can really sell playing time. The linebacker room is very talented, but very thin after this season. There's going to be early playing time. Elijah Barnes is probably going to play early. Riley Pettijohn, if he wanted to come get some of that, they'd be more than inviting. They'd be more than welcoming for that because the playing time is there with Benda and Maurice Blackwell moving on.
Cool. And then the cornerbacks. It's nice that some of this is out in the open. So cornerback Dorian Brew had a Conroe. Sark went and did his Houston tour.
There's definitely some angles to play on that one. I think Texas is in the middle of making that one more and more interesting. Still plenty of work left to do. Oregon is formidable. We just saw them number 3 team in the country, and they have very, very good recruiting staff. But I kind of like the way that one is shaping into Texas's direction. But I'm a little biased because I've been saying Texas is in that one for a very, very long time, really since the second I found out his mom moved to Texas. I've been saying that Texas has a shot there. Downplayed LSU, downplayed Ohio State, have upplayed Texas, and now I think it's Texas versus Oregon, and I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Good coach.
Yeah, on Brew, look, like Eric's all over that, man. Like he's been all over for the longest, man.
We have the certain recruitments that we know better, and he knows Riley Pettijohn very well. I know the Bruce situation pretty good.
Cool. All right, the fun one on Friday was Devin Sanchez. I guess you also can't be very subtle when you show up in helicopters to places because someone immediately got a photo of it.
Yeah,
funny. So Sark did show up at North Shore to see. Is he what's his on-3 rank? He's the number 1 corner.
He's overall on 3 industry ranking. He's number 1 for sure. I'm not sure if he's on 3's exact number 1, but it's fair to say that he's the number 1 corner in the country.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, long shot. What do I write there? Just read that so everybody knows I'm not trying to overplay this one. Basically, I say that this is the longest shot on here, but they're at least trying, right? They're at least shooting their shot. Shoot or shoot. So
shoot or shoot. I love that actually. It's perfect.
So that's what they're doing right now, and we'll see how it plays out. Long way to go. But it's out in the open now. Now Ohio State is going to be playing defense like crazy. And so we'll see. Can they get him to campus? If they get him to campus, I'll be paying a little bit. I'll be paying even closer attention. But it's not like that visit didn't come out of nowhere. There's been conversations. There's been communication going back a long time that never got reported.
Yeah, you don't just show up in a helicopter. Maybe you do. Maybe that's the way to make the impression. But did he? And so he didn't end up going to Ohio State this weekend?
Yeah, I didn't. Did he go? Yeah, I knew he was supposed to. Yeah. They should have just grappled down from a rope and extracted him out of the school and taken him to campus.
Just kidnap him. That'll work. And then another corner, Kobe Sellers out of Shadow Creek.
Yep, Aggie commit. Long time it was OU, Texas, and then this A&M staff came in, dialed up the heat on him, did a really good job. That's one that's got my attention because A&M is starting to play a little bit better, a lot better. Mm-hmm. But UT's made good inroads. He does like there's some academic opportunities at Texas that he's interested in. I think he wants to go into business. This is not a poultry science major, so Texas has a decent chance of playing that angle. Very, sinewy. I liken him to Gavin Holmes, and maybe that won't excite the whole world here, but because they think everybody's going to be a superstar. Gavin Holmes was a quality player with good coverage skills, a valuable piece. I think Kobe Sellers has a good chance to be, at least Gavin Holmes, perhaps better. So they're working on that one. That's they can't just go for 5 stars. Kobe Sellers is a good player, good athlete, and they have a need at corner. They've only got Caleb Chester committed right now.
Right.
Well, that's a good lead in. What is your view of Caleb Chester? I see similarities between him and the 2019 Texas signee Marquez Caldwell, who I did not like at all.
Man, I think if you watch, so I knew. Man, was it only 2019? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Caldwell, and I've seen a good amount of Chester. I like Chester a lot. And you also have to factor in development. This staff is developing all the guys they want. They're all these guys very well. Their evaluations have been really good. So you can't cross-examine these different staffs. I would just throw those guys out because they wouldn't have taken Marcus Caldwell probably, or if they did, they would have developed him into a quality player. So it's tough to argue it that way. But Caleb has very good coverage skills and he's got a lot of length, and that's exactly what they're looking for. So maybe let's say he shows up and he doesn't have the recovery speed to play corner, which might be true, might not be true. I think he's plenty fast. They will just slide him to nickel, and if nickel doesn't work, they'll move him to safety. You were talking about wanting a rangy field safety. One way to find a rangy field safety is to convert a corner. So he's got the intelligence and toughness that they're looking for, the length that they're looking for, and he's got really good coverage skills. You don't see a lot of taller cornerbacks like him always in position to make a play.
All right.
Good stuff. Winning out will be the best for recruiting.
Always.
Sure.
Oh,
sure.
yeah, no doubt.
Always.
See, this is one that fans get caught up in the rankings all the time, and that's I guess I'm to blame for that. I've worked for a place that puts out rankings, but just because they're highly rated doesn't mean that they're all always ready to go. A guy like Dorian Brew is a lot more raw than people realize. He does have the athleticism and the size. He's a big ass kid. He's gonna. If he wanted to play at 215 in college, he'd have to switch positions, but he could be 215 with no problem. I'm convinced. Very, very good immediate sudden moves for corner. But he's raw as far as the mental side of it goes. I don't think Ohio football was preparing him like Texas football is. He's with a very good staff right now. You got Cedric Hardiman is one of the better defensive back coaches. He's the head coach at Conroe, and then you've got Ben Wells over there now, former Texas DB. So he's getting the coaching now, but he's a little bit more raw than a lot of the kids that are ranked as high as him.
Yep. And for the listeners, the comment was Dorian Brew has athleticism and length to be a very good cover cornerback, but it seems he might be physically bigger than a prototypical shutdown cornerback.
Big kid. Like you would probably want him at star more likely. But there's a lot of process in the box, so it's we're not sure. But just trust the staff, man. If they want him, I want him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really question the staff that much after seeing their development ability. Other staffs, I questioned everything they did. All right. And then finally, we have a disclaimer here that Eric needed to add about DeCorian Moore. So let's go ahead and put that out there.
Oh, do the other one too, because that one's going to hit probably.
Who's the other one? There's also okay. Wait, we'll do the DeCorian Moore, then we'll do the tease.
Okay.
All right. So what's
it's not a tease so much as it's just telling them what to expect down the road.
Okay. So Eric states, we'll be asked about DeCorian Moore. Don't assume Texas is pushing just because he's an extremely talented player worthy of his elite status. They like what they have, and they like what they think they can add.
Yeah.
And then here's how you end an article, folks. There's also one more defensive back that's committed to another school. He's one of my favorites in the class. I think there's a good chance he'll ultimately visit, perhaps officially. Finally, there are 3 guys in this article I feel like Texas has in the bag.
But here's the problem. You didn't read the whole article. Well, that's why they should sign up to InsideTexas.com.
Exactly.
Right now, we're running a promo. No excuses. Nonstop. In fact, I got to write something right now.
Yep. So use promo code HOOK'em right now. You guys will get 50% off annual memberships. We're running this as a flash sale for OU week. So this deal is not always around. So take advantage of it, y'all. You'll be able to read all the latest recruiting. You saw how impressive that article was, going player by player. You'll exactly know what's going on if you sign up at Inside Texas for you recruiting heads. All right. I think we're good. Let me check comments one last time. Let's see. Brew and Pettijohn were identified early in the process. High priority. Glad to hear Texas has a shot with those 2 big potential. Yes.
Yeah, buddy.
Colin Simmons bites like a dog in his first Red River shootout.
At home.
Yeah, at home.
I agree. Colin Simmons, special young player. All right. And right about the most important position on a football team, defensive tackle and nose tackle. All right, guys. good work. That was enjoyable. Liked hanging out, talking Texas football. Tomorrow morning, we should have a special guest for you guys. And then after that, me and Paul will continue to break down Texas OU. You know, we go much more into the personnel side and what the game is going to be like. So that's going to be exciting. And then one last thing. Colin Simmons makes his presence felt on Saturday. Huff Tex.
Thank you,
I
sir.
agree, and I hope that occurs. Fans, thank you so much for watching. Eric, Coach Dub, thank y'all as well. And y'all have a wonderful Monday.